How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video I want to speak about a topic of DIY type repairs in a professional work environment. Why it's never a good idea to get involved in it, and it will potentially ruin your reputation on the type of work that you carry out. The reason I'm speaking on this topic today is because of a job that I was working on in the workshop very recently. Vehicle came into us, had engine management light on, was running very poorly, and the customer was in desperate need to try and get it back on the road as quick as possible. So had a look at the vehicle and found that there was 2 cylinders showing a misfire and also a random misfire detected on the ECU P0300. After I had that information, I went straight in. I wanted to look at the ignition leads, wanted to remove the spark plugs and check to see what they looked like. Before I got into the spark plugs, I could see straight away that somebody had done what I would class as a DIY type repair. I had insulation wrapped all over one of those actual ignition leads. I put that to the side for now, and I got the 4 plugs out. The 4 spark plugs were in extremely bad shape. One of them had visible arcing on them, one of them had a tip that was completely damaged, and the other one looked absolutely terrible. Now the one that looks the worst is the one that had the insulation tape in the ignition lead. That was that cylinder. And when I had done my quick checks, I rang the customer and I gave them my information on what repairs that I would recommend doing. So I recommended the spark plugs, the ignition leads, and with what I seen, the ignition coils to be all replaced. Get this vehicle back up and running with no faults and no issues going forward. What the customer told me, and what I wasn't expecting to hear, is this vehicle was in another workshop not that long ago and had a similar fault, and they replaced the spark plugs. So from that brief conversation I had with the customer, I gathered that the work that was done was probably a decision made by a mechanic or a technician to put electrical tape on that ignition system. Now, why did they do that? Did they think they were helping the customer out? Were they trying to cover themselves? Could they not get the parts on the day? I do not know. I don't have that information. What I do know is, did they advise the customer to replace anything more than the spark plugs? The customer said no. So they had seen that there was a problem, not given the information to the customer, replaced spark plugs on their own, and then sent the customer off on his way. When you do that type of work, it's always going to be there. So if you get your hands on that vehicle again for servicing or for anything else, you can potentially rectify your own DIY type repair, and nobody might ever seen it. A problem will occur if another workshop sees it and then they relay back that information that you decided to omit from the customer. Customer was not aware that the ignition lead should be replaced, nor was he ever advised of it. When you have this type of fault show up, and when you decide on the day that you're going to try and rectify it, now whether that technician tried to do the right thing by the customer and thought, if I just wrap insulation tape around it, I can get this job going, I can get the customer away for the day and we can get it back, doesn't seem to add up. Because when I asked the customer, was the ignition leads recommended, he did advise that nothing of any kind like that was said. So it sounds like that technician made a very bad decision to cover up something, whether he couldn't get parts on the day or he just wanted to get the job out as quick as possible and get on to the next one. I don't know, but it is not something that you should ever do. I do feel that that customer will never return to that workshop again. He was happy to go and get the work done. It didn't sound like financially there was an issue, knowing that the vehicle will be right after the work is being done. He needs his vehicle for work, so of course if he knows that there's a potential save or problem down the road, he can make the right decision. And in this case, the spark plugs had to be reinstalled again, so he's doubling up on the costs because that workshop made a bad decision on their repairs. The customer gave me the go ahead to get all of the repairs done. I fitted new coils, I fitted ignition leads, and I fitted new spark plugs. Everything back together, we cleared the codes, we brought it for a road test, and everything was now good. I advised the customer that he has loads of warranty in regards to the parts that was fitted. Should he have any issues, that he can come back at any time and we will look them over for him. He was happy to have that information. He was also very happy to hear that there is warranties on work being done. With that, I want to hear your thoughts on this particular situation. Is there any room for a DIY type repair in a professional environment, or is it just a terrible idea and any time and should never be done? I'm one that believes in giving all the information to the customer and letting the customer decide. You give your professional experience, you give your advice, and they can make the decision that's right for them based on their financial circumstances or whatever. You can't make that decision for them, but you can relay it in the best possible way. Know what may happen, know what's happening right now, and then they can decide whether they want to go ahead or not. In this case, the customer was very happy to get everything done. He didn't want to deal with any more problems down the road, and he just wanted his vehicle working right. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. How bad of a decision was this by the technician to go ahead and do that without even consulting with the customer? Have you ever come across something like this yourself in the workshop? And would you ever, at any circumstances, decide to do a similar type of thing to help out a customer or not? I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you found it useful and informative. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.